The war had taken everything from Park Woo. It took his youth, his innocence, and the faces of friends he could no longer remember without pain. For 18 months, he had fought on a distant world called 442, where the skis were purple, and the jungles wanted to kill you just as much as the enemy did. Now he stood in a clean uniform on Luna Base, waiting for his name to be called. The Victory Hall was filled with soldiers like him, men and women who had survived the impossible. They all wore the same tired expression. They had won the war against the Empire, but none of them felt like celebrating. Wu looked at his hands. They were steady now, but he remembered how they shook during the first battle. He was just 23 years old when they sent him to fight aliens. Now he was 25, and he felt like an old man. They had invaded human space 3 years ago. They came in massive ships that blocked out the stars. Their soldiers were tall and pale, with silver eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. Humans called them ghosts because of how they moved through the jungle without making a sound. Wu had killed many of them. He did not enjoy it. He did what he had to do to survive and to protect the soldiers beside him. That was all. "Staff Sergeant Park Woo," a voice called out. He walked forward. The crowd clapped politely. Admiral Ho stood on the stage, a man with gray hair and a face that had seen too many wars. Behind him stood several officers and some figures that Wu did not recognize. They wore long robes of silver and white. Their skin was pale like milk, and their eyes reflected the light like mirrors. They were on the stage. Wu's body tensed. His hand moved toward his hip where his weapon used to be, but there was no weapon now. This was a ceremony, not a battlefield. Admiral smiled, but it was a strange smile. It looked forced. "Staff Sergeant Park, your service to humanity has been exceptional. You led your unit through the Battle of the Red Valley. You saved 47 lives. You held the line when others retreated. Today, we honor you." Wu expected the Admiral to pin a medal on his chest. Instead, the old man turned and gestured to someone behind him. A woman stepped forward. Her skin was the color of fresh snow, and her hair was long and silver like threads of moonlight. Her eyes were large and pale, almost white with just a hint of blue. She wore a simple white dress that reached the floor. She moved gracefully, like water flowing over stones. She was beautiful, and she was terrified. Wu could see it in her eyes, the fear, the shame. She kept her gaze on the floor, refusing to look at him or anyone else. "This is Lyra," Admiral said. "She is a gift from the Empire, a symbol of their surrender and their desire for peace. She has been given to you, Staff Sergeant Park, as recognition of your valor." The world stopped. Wu stared at the Admiral. He waited for someone to laugh. He waited for someone to say this was a joke, but no one laughed. The on the stage watched with expressionless faces. The human officers looked uncomfortable but said nothing. "A gift," Wu repeated. His voice was flat. "You are giving me a person." Admiral's smile faltered. "It is a tradition among the. When they lose a war, they offer their noble daughters to the victors. It is meant to create bonds between our peoples, to ensure peace." "I did not fight a war to own someone," Wu said. His voice was louder now. People in the crowd began to whisper, "Take her back, I do not want this." The woman flinched at his words. She still did not look up, but Wu saw her hands tremble. One of the elders stepped forward. He was old, with deep lines on his pale face. When he spoke, his voice was soft but carried weight. "To refuse this gift is to refuse peace. It would be seen as an insult to our people, an insult that could not be forgiven." Admiral leaned closer to Wu. "Think carefully, son. Thousands of soldiers are still stationed on the border. If peace falls apart, they will be the first to die. Is your pride worth their lives?" Wu felt anger rise in his chest. He wanted to shout. He wanted to walk away, but the Admiral's words stuck in his mind. More soldiers would die. More young men and women would be sent to that purple hell to fight and bleed. He looked at the woman again. Lyra. She finally raised her eyes to meet his. In that moment, he saw something he recognized. She did not want to be here either. She was as much a prisoner of this situation as he was. "Fine," Wu said through his teeth. "But this is not right, and everyone here knows it." He turned and walked off the stage. He did not wait for more applause or more speeches. He heard footsteps behind him, light footsteps. She was following him. Outside the Victory Hall, the artificial sky of Luna Base showed a projection of Earth, blue and green and beautiful. Home. Wu had not seen the real Earth in almost 2 years. He stopped walking and turned around. Lyra stood a few meters behind him. She looked small and lost in the empty corridor. "Do you speak Korean?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Yes, I learned before coming here." Her accent was strange, but he could understand her. "Good," he said. "Then understand this. I will not hurt you. I will not touch you. You are not my property, no matter what they say. When I find a way to fix this, I will send you home. Until then, you will stay in my apartment. You will be safe. That is all I can promise." Lyra stared at him. Her silver eyes were wide with confusion. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Wu did not wait for her response. He turned and walked toward the shuttle bay. Behind him, he heard her footsteps again, lighter this time, less afraid. He did not look back. The shuttle to Earth was small and crowded. Wu sat by the window and watched the stars pass by. Lyra sat across from him, her hands folded in her lap. She did not speak. Neither did he. When they entered Earth's atmosphere, the shuttle shook with turbulence. Lyra gripped her seat with white knuckles. Wu noticed but said nothing. They landed in Seoul Sector as the sun was setting. The city stretched out before them, a maze of lights and towers that reached toward the sky. It was loud and bright and alive, everything that 442 was not. Wu led Lyra through the crowded streets. People stared at her, some pointed, some whispered. An alien woman walking through Seoul was not something they saw every day. His apartment was on the 47th floor of a residential tower. It was small. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a tiny kitchen, and a living room with a view of the city. It was not much, but it was his. He opened the door and stepped inside. The air was stale. He had been gone too long. "You can have the bedroom," he said. "I will sleep on the couch." Lyra stood in the doorway. She looked around the small apartment with those strange silver eyes. Then she looked at him. "Why?" she asked. "Why what? Why are you kind to me? I am your enemy. I am your prize. You should hate me." Wu thought about her question for a long moment. The truth was, he did not know the answer. He was too tired to hate. He had used up all his anger on the battlefield. "I am not kind," he said finally. "I am just tired of war." He walked to the window and looked out at the city. Somewhere out there, people were living normal lives. They were eating dinner with their families. They were laughing with friends. They were falling in love. Wu wondered if he would ever have a normal life again. Behind him, he heard Lyra close the door. Her soft footsteps moved toward the bedroom. A moment later, the door clicked shut. He was alone with his thoughts, and for the first time in 18 months, the silence felt heavier than any weapon he had ever carried. The morning sun came through the window and woke Wu from an uneasy sleep. His back hurt from the old couch, and his neck was stiff. He sat up slowly and looked around the apartment. For a moment, he forgot about Lyra. Then he saw the closed bedroom door and remembered everything. He had an alien woman living in his home, one of the enemies he had spent 18 months trying to kill. The universe had a cruel sense of humor. Wu went to the small kitchen and made coffee. The machine was old but still worked. As the dark liquid poured into his cup, he heard the bedroom door open behind him. Lyra stood in the doorway. She wore the same white dress from yesterday. Her silver hair was messy from sleep, and her pale eyes looked tired. She seemed smaller in the morning light, less like an alien and more like a lost girl. "Good morning," Wu said. His voice was rough. "Good morning," she replied. Her Korean was careful and slow, like she was thinking about each word before saying it. "Do you drink coffee?" he asked. She shook her head. "I do not know what coffee is." Wu almost smiled. "Almost. Sit down. I will make you something to eat." He opened his refrigerator and found nothing. It had been empty for 2 years. He sighed and closed it again. "I need to go shopping," he said. "Stay here. Do not open the door for anyone. Do not answer any calls. Understand?" Lyra nodded. She sat on the edge of the couch and folded her hands in her lap. She looked like a statue made of ice. Wu grabbed his jacket and left the apartment. He took the elevator down to the street level and walked to the nearest market. The city was busy with morning traffic. People rushed to work with cups of coffee and tired faces. Nobody paid attention to the young man with the haunted eyes. He bought rice, vegetables, eggs, and some meat. Simple food. He did not know what ate, but he hoped she could eat human food. When he returned to the apartment, he found Lyra exactly where he left her. She had not moved at all. "Did something happen?" he asked. "No, you told me to stay, so I stayed." Wu set the bags down on the kitchen counter. "You can move around the apartment. You do not have to sit in one place like a prisoner." Lyra looked confused. "But I am a prisoner, that is what I am." Before Wu could respond, his phone rang. He looked at the screen and saw the name of his commanding officer, Colonel Sung-jin. He answered it. "Park Wu," the colonel's voice was serious. "You caused quite a scene yesterday. The delegation is very unhappy." "Good," Wu said. "They should be unhappy. What they did was wrong." "Wrong or not, it is done. And now we have a diplomatic situation. You need to come to the military headquarters today. Bring the woman with you." "Her name is Lyra." There was a pause on the other end. "Fine, bring Lyra. We need to discuss this properly." The call ended. Wu put the phone down and looked at Lyra. She had heard everything. Her pale face showed no emotion, but her hands were gripping her dress tightly. "We have to go," he said. "Can you change into something else? That dress stands out too much." Lyra looked down at her white dress. "I have nothing else. They only gave me this." Wu went to his bedroom closet and found some old clothes. A pair of pants that would be too big for her and a plain gray sweater. He handed them to her. "These will have to work for now." She took the clothes and went to the bedroom to change. When she came out, she looked strange but less obvious. The sweater hung loose on her thin frame, and she had to roll up the pants at the bottom. But at least she did not look like an alien princess anymore. They took the subway to military headquarters. People stared at Lyra, but Wu glared at anyone who looked too long. Nobody said anything. Colonel Sung-jin was waiting for them in a conference room. He was a tall man with a shaved head and a face that rarely smiled. 2 other officers sat beside him. They all looked uncomfortable. "Sit down," the colonel said. Wu sat. Lyra sat beside him, her eyes fixed on the table. "Let me be direct," Colonel said. "Your little speech yesterday nearly destroyed 3 years of peace negotiations. They were ready to walk out. It took Admiral 6 hours to calm them down." "I spoke the truth," Wu said. "We do not trade people like objects." "That is our culture," the colonel replied. "But it is not theirs. To them, offering a noble daughter is the highest form of trust. By refusing her, you told them that humans cannot be trusted, that we do not honor their traditions." Wu felt his anger rising. "Their traditions are wrong." "Maybe, but right now, those traditions are the only thing keeping the peace. There are still 50,000 human soldiers on the border. If they decide that peace is impossible, those soldiers will be the first to die. Is that what you want?" Wu said nothing. He remembered the faces of his unit, the ones who did not come home. He did not want more soldiers to die. He did not want anyone else to die. "What do you want me to do?" he asked quietly. "Keep her," Colonel said. "At least for now. Let them see that you accepted their gift with honor. Let them believe that peace is working. Buy us time to create a real treaty. And then what? I keep her forever. No, once the treaty is signed, we can find another solution. She can become an ambassador. She can return to her people. But right now, we need stability, and you are the one who must provide it. Wu looked at Lyra. She had not spoken during the entire meeting. Her face was blank, but he could see the pain in her eyes. She was being discussed like a piece of furniture, like she had no voice. Lyra, he said, what do you want? Everyone in the room went silent. The officers looked shocked. Nobody had thought to ask her opinion. Lyra slowly raised her head. Her silver eyes met Wu's dark ones. I want to go home, she said. Her voice was barely a whisper. But I cannot. My mother gave me away. If I return now, it will bring shame to my family. I would rather die than bring shame. Wu felt something twist in his chest. It was not pity. It was something deeper. He understood what it meant to have no choice. He understood what it meant to be trapped by duty and tradition. Then you will stay with me, he said. But not as a gift, not as a prize, you will stay as a guest. And when the time is right, we will find a way to send you home with honor. Lyra stared at him. For the first time, he saw something other than fear in her eyes. It looked like hope. Colonel cleared his throat. Fine. That arrangement works for us, but Wu, I must warn you. There are groups who do not want peace with they believe all aliens should be destroyed. They may come for her. You must protect her. I know how to protect people, Wu said coldly. I have been doing it for 18 months. They left the headquarters and walked through the crowded streets of Seoul Sector. The sun was setting now, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Lyra walked beside Wu, matching his pace. You called me a guest, she said. Yes. Among my people, guests are given respect and protection. Is it the same among humans? Wu thought about it. Yes, it is the same. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that surprised him. Thank you, no one has ever asked what I wanted before. You are the first. Wu did not know what to say, so he said nothing. They walked the rest of the way home in silence, but it was a different kind of silence now. It was not heavy. It was not cold. It was the silence of two people who were beginning to understand each other. When they reached the apartment, Wu finally cooked the food he had bought. Rice and vegetables and eggs. Simple food. Lyra watched him with curious eyes. Can you eat this? He asked. I do not know. I have never eaten human food before. He put a small plate in front of her. She picked up the chopsticks clumsily and took a small bite. Her eyes widened. It is good, she said. Different from our food, but good. Wu sat across from her and ate his own meal. They did not talk much. But for the first time since the ceremony, the apartment did not feel so empty. Outside the window, the city lights flickered like a million stars. And somewhere in the darkness, enemies were watching, waiting, planning. But Wu did not know that yet. For now, he only knew that he had made a promise, and he intended to keep it. 3 weeks passed since Lyra came to live with Wu. They developed a routine. He would wake up early and make breakfast. She would help clean the apartment. They would eat together in silence. Then Wu would go out to handle his military discharge papers while Lyra stayed home. She never complained. She never asked for anything. She was like a ghost living in his apartment, there but not really there. Wu was starting to worry about her. She ate very little. She slept too much. And sometimes, late at night, he heard her crying softly in the bedroom. He never said anything about it. He did not know how. One Saturday morning, his phone buzzed with a message. It was from his sister, Park. I am coming to visit today. Make sure you are home. I brought food. Wu cursed under his breath. He had forgotten to tell about Lyra. His sister did not know that an alien woman was living in his apartment. This was going to be a disaster. He went to the bedroom door and knocked. Lyra, my sister is coming to visit. She does not know about you. I need you to stay in the bedroom until she leaves." There was a pause, then Lyra's voice came through the door. "I understand." 2 hours later, the doorbell rang. Wu opened it to find his sister standing there with bags of food and a bright smile on her face. Was 22 years old, 3 years younger than him. She had the same dark eyes but a much warmer personality. "Brother," she shouted and hugged him tightly. "You look terrible. Have you been eating? You are so skinny." "I am fine," he said. "Come in." Walked into the apartment and looked around. "This place is cleaner than I expected. I thought soldiers were messy." "I had time to clean." Set the food on the kitchen table and started unpacking containers. She had brought enough food to feed 10 people. That was her way. She always cooked too much. "So tell me everything," she said. "How was the war? Are you okay? Do you have nightmares? The news said they were terrifying. Did you see many of them?" Wu sat down heavily. "I do not want to talk about the war." Okay, sorry," she smiled apologetically. "Then tell me about the ceremony. I saw it on television. They gave you some kind of special award, right?" Wu's face went dark. "It was not an award." "What do you mean? I saw you walk up on stage, then the camera cut away. What happened?" Before Wu could answer, the bedroom door opened. Lyra stepped out into the living room. Screamed. It was a loud, high-pitched scream that probably woke up every neighbor in the building. She grabbed a frying pan from the kitchen counter and held it like a weapon. "There is a in your apartment," shouted. "Brother, get behind me." "Stop," Wu said calmly. He stepped between his sister and Lyra. "Put down the pan. She is not dangerous." "Not dangerous. They invaded us. They killed thousands of people." "I know, I was there, but Lyra did not kill anyone. She is not a soldier. She is." He struggled to find the right words. "She is a guest." Lowered the pan slowly. Her eyes were still wide with fear, but she was starting to calm down. "A guest? How can it be a guest?" Wu sighed and explained everything. The ceremony, the gift, the diplomatic situation. By the time he finished, fear had turned into something else. Something that looked like anger. "They gave you a person," she said, "like a thing that is horrible." "I know." Looked at Lyra. The woman stood frozen near the bedroom door. She looked ready to run at any moment. "I am sorry," said to her. "I should not have screamed. I was surprised." Lyra blinked. "You are not afraid of me." "I was for a moment, but you look more scared than I am." Put the frying pan down and walked closer. "My name is Park. I am Wu's sister." "I am Lyra." The woman bowed slightly. "I am sorry for causing trouble." "You did not cause trouble. The people who gave you away caused trouble." Turned to her brother. "Has she been staying in the bedroom this whole time?" Wu nodded. "That is cruel. She is a living person, not a pet." Grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her toward the kitchen table. "Come, sit, eat with us. I brought too much food anyway." Lyra looked at Wu with uncertain eyes. He nodded. "It is okay, is harmless, loud but harmless." They sat around the small table and ate together, talked constantly, filling the silence with stories about her job, her friends, and her annoying neighbors. Lyra listened quietly, but Wu noticed that she was eating more than usual, and there was a small smile on her face. After the meal, insisted on staying to clean up. She sent Wu to buy drinks from the store downstairs. He knew she was trying to get rid of him so she could talk to Lyra alone. He let her. When he returned 20 minutes later, he found them sitting on the couch together. They were talking in low voices. Lyra was speaking more than he had ever heard her speak. Wu stayed in the kitchen, pretending to organize the drinks, but he could hear their conversation. "Why did your people start the war?" asked. Her voice was gentle, not accusing. Lyra was quiet for a moment. "We did not want war, we wanted to survive." "What do you mean?" "There is a mineral called, it is very rare. Our people need it to live. Without, our bodies grow weak. Our children are born sick. Our elders die young." Wu stopped moving. He had never heard this before. Our planet ran out of many generations ago, Lyra continued. We searched the stars for more. We found it on the planets that humans called home. We tried to ask for trade, but your leaders did not trust us. They said no. So you attacked? Asked. Our leaders made that choice. They said we had no other option, take thee or watch our people die. Lyra's voice was heavy with sadness. I do not think they were right, but I understand why they did it. When you are watching your children die, you do terrible things. Wu walked into the living room. Both women looked up at him. Is this true? He asked. The war was about a mineral. Lyra nodded. Yes, is found in the rocks of many human colonies. We did not want your planets. We did not want to hurt anyone. We only wanted to save our people. Wu felt something shift inside his mind. For 18 months he had thought of them as monsters, invaders, evil creatures who wanted to destroy humanity, but now he was looking at a different picture. A dying species, desperate parents, leaders who made terrible choices because they saw no other way. Why did nobody tell us this? He asked. Why did we not know? Would it have changed anything? Lyra asked. Your people were already afraid of us. They saw our ships and our weapons. They did not want to understand. They wanted to survive just like us. Reached out and took Lyra's hand. That is the saddest thing I have ever heard. Two peoples fighting a war that nobody wanted. Lyra looked at their joined hands. A tear rolled down her pale cheek. Among my people, we do not touch strangers, but you are very warm. Smiled, humans are warm. That is one of our good qualities. Wu sat down in the chair across from them. He felt tired, so very tired. The war suddenly seemed even more meaningless than before. We could have shared, he said quietly. We could have traded. We have enough resources for everyone. Yes, Lyra said, but fear is stronger than reason. That is true for all species. They sat together as the sun set outside the window, stayed until late evening, filling the apartment with warmth and laughter. When she finally left, she hugged Lyra tightly. Take care of my brother, she whispered. He pretends to be strong, but he is broken inside. We all are. Lyra nodded. I will try. After left, Wu and Lyra stood in the quiet apartment. The silence felt different now. It was not empty. It was full of everything they had learned about each other. Your sister is a good person, Lyra said. She is the best person I know. She made me feel, Lyra struggled to find the word, welcome. Nobody has made me feel welcome since I left home. Wu looked at her. In the dim light of the apartment, she did not look like an alien. She looked like a lonely person far from home, just like him. You are welcome here, he said. I should have said that before, but I am saying it now. Lyra smiled. It was small and sad, but it was real. Thank you, Park Wu. You are not like other humans. And you are not like the I fought in the war. No, she agreed. I am not. I am just a woman who misses her home and does not know where she belongs anymore. Wu understood that feeling better than anyone. He had felt it every day since he came back from the war. Maybe, he said slowly, we can figure that out together. Lyra did not answer, but she did not need to. The look in her eyes said everything. Outside, the city lights glowed like earthbound stars, and somewhere in that vast universe, two wounded souls were beginning to heal. 5 weeks after the ceremony, Wu started to feel almost normal again. The nightmares still came, but less often. The faces of dead soldiers still haunted him, but they were starting to fade. And Lyra was no longer a stranger in his home. She had learned to cook Korean food. Her first attempt at making rice had ended in disaster, but she kept trying. Now she could make simple meals that were actually edible. Wu never told her, but he appreciated it. Coming home to warm food felt like something from another life, a life before the war. Lyra had also started going outside. At first, she only walked around the block. People stared at her, but nobody said anything cruel. Humans were getting used to seeing in their cities. The peace was holding. One evening, Wu came home late from a meeting with his discharge officer. His military service was officially over. He was a civilian now, free to do whatever he wanted. The problem was, he did not know what he wanted. He opened the apartment door and found Lyra reading a book. She had discovered his small collection of old novels and was working her way through them. Right now, she was reading a detective story. "Is it good?" he asked. "I do not understand all the words," she admitted, "but I like trying to solve the mystery. The detective is very clever." Wu smiled slightly. "That is the point." He went to the kitchen to make tea. As he waited for the water to boil, he noticed something strange. The light in the hallway outside his apartment was off. It had been working that morning. His soldier instincts woke up immediately. "Lyra," he said quietly, "come here now." She looked up from her book. She saw his face and understood. Without asking questions, she got up and walked to the kitchen. "Get behind the counter," he whispered. "Do not make a sound." Lyra obeyed. She crouched behind the kitchen counter, her silver eyes wide with fear. Wu went to his closet and pulled out a metal baseball bat. He had bought it months ago, when he still thought about playing sports again. Now it would serve a different purpose. He stood near the door and waited. His breathing was steady. His hands were calm. This was what he was trained for. 3 minutes passed, then 5, then 10. Then the door exploded. 2 men burst into the apartment. They wore black masks and carried energy pistols. Behind them came a third man, bigger than the others, with a knife in his hand. "Find the alien," the big one shouted. "Kill her." Wu moved. He swung the bat and caught the first man in the stomach. The man doubled over with a grunt. Wu grabbed his pistol and threw him into the second man. They both crashed to the floor. The big one with the knife charged at Wu. He was fast for his size. The knife slashed through the air and cut a line across Wu's arm. Pain burned through his body, but he did not stop. He swung the bat again. It connected with the big man's shoulder. The man stumbled but did not fall. He slashed again, and this time the knife cut deeper. Blood soaked Wu's sleeve. Behind him, he heard Lyra scream. The first 2 men were getting up. They had recovered faster than he expected. One of them aimed his pistol at the kitchen. Wu threw the bat. It spun through the air and hit the man's hand. The pistol went flying, but the distraction cost him. The big man's fist connected with his jaw and Wu fell backward. His vision blurred. He saw the ceiling. He saw the big man standing over him with the knife raised. Then he saw something white and silver flash across his vision. Lyra had grabbed the fallen pistol. She was holding it with shaking hands, pointing it at the big man. "Get away from him," she said. Her voice was trembling, but her eyes were steady. The big man laughed. "You will not shoot. Your kind are weak. That is why you lost the war." Lyra did not answer. She pulled the trigger. The energy bolt hit the big man in the chest. He looked surprised for a moment. Then he collapsed. The other 2 men stared at their fallen leader. Then they looked at Lyra. Then they ran. They scrambled out the broken door and disappeared into the hallway. Lyra dropped the pistol. Her whole body was shaking. She fell to her knees beside Wu. "You are hurt," she said. Tears were streaming down her face. "You are bleeding." "I am fine," Wu said. His voice was weak, just a scratch. "You are lying. Humans always lie about pain." She grabbed his arm and examined the wounds. The cuts were deep. Blood was still flowing. She closed her eyes and placed her hands over the wounds. Wu felt warmth, not the burning warmth of pain, but a gentle warmth like sunlight. The pain started to fade. He looked down and saw the cuts closing. The bleeding stopped. In a few seconds the wounds were gone. Only faint scars remained. "How did you do that?" he asked. "Healing," Lyra said. Her face was pale with exhaustion. "We can share our life energy with others. It is tiring, but it works." Wu sat up slowly. He felt strange. weak but also somehow better than before. He looked at the unconscious man on the floor, then he looked at Lyra. "You saved my life," he said. "You protected me first. I only returned the favor." They sat together on the floor of the damaged apartment. The door was broken. The walls had holes from the energy pistols, but they were alive. "Why did they come for me?" Lyra asked. "What did I do to them?" "You exist," Wu said bitterly. "That is enough for some people. They want to destroy your entire species. But the war is over. Peace was signed." "Peace is just a word on paper. Hatred takes longer to die." Lyra looked at the unconscious man. "Will there be more of them?" "Probably. They call themselves the Pure Earth Front. They believe humans should be alone in the universe. They attacked colonies during the war. They killed prisoners. They are terrorists." "Then I am putting you in danger," Lyra said. "I should leave. I should find somewhere else to stay." "No," Wu grabbed her hand. "If you leave, they will find you. They will kill you. At least here I can protect you." "But you almost died tonight." "I have almost died many times. Tonight was nothing special." He tried to smile, but it came out wrong. "I am a soldier. Dying is what we do." Lyra looked at him with those strange silver eyes. "Why do you protect me? You do not have to. Nobody forced you to fight those men. You could have let them take me." Wu thought about her question. The truth was complicated. At first, he had protected her because it was his duty. Then he had protected her because he felt guilty about how her people were treated. But now it was something else. "You did not start this war," he said finally. "You did not ask to be given away like property. You are a victim, just like the soldiers who died on both sides, and I am tired of seeing victims suffer." Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she leaned forward and did something unexpected. She pressed her forehead against his. This was the most intimate gesture possible. It was how they showed deep gratitude and respect. Wu did not know this, but he felt the meaning behind it. "Thank you," Lyra whispered. "You are a good man, Park Wu, better than you know." They stayed like that for a moment. Then the sound of sirens broke the silence. The police were coming. Someone must have reported the attack. Wu stood up and helped Lyra to her feet. "We need to talk to them, tell them what happened. Can you do that?" Lyra nodded. "I can. I'm not afraid anymore." The police arrived 10 minutes later. They took statements. They arrested the unconscious attacker. They asked many questions. Wu answered most of them. Lyra answered the rest. One of the officers looked at Lyra with curiosity, not hatred. "You shot a man to protect a human soldier," he said. "That took courage." "He was going to kill my friend," Lyra replied. "I did what anyone would do." The officer smiled slightly. Not everyone would do that, especially not for someone from the other side of a war. After the police left, Wu covered the broken door with plastic sheets. It would have to do until morning. The apartment was cold now, but they would survive. Lyra sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. She looked exhausted from the healing she had performed. Wu sat beside her. "You call me your friend," he said. "Did I? When you talked to the police, you said I was your friend." Lyra pulled the blanket. "Was I wrong?" Wu thought about it. A month ago she had been a stranger, an alien, an enemy. Now she was sitting on his couch, wrapped in his blanket after saving his life. "No," he said, "you were not wrong." Lyra smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was warm. They sat together in the cold apartment, watching the city lights through the window. Outside, danger still lurked. Enemies still watched. But inside this small space, something had changed. They were no longer just a soldier and his unwanted prize. They were friends. And that, Wu realized, was worth protecting. The attack changed everything. Security teams were posted around Wu's building. His broken door was replaced with reinforced steel. News reporters gathered outside, wanting to interview the human soldier and his companion. Wu refused them all. 2 days after the attack, an unexpected visitor came to the apartment. The man wore a plain gray suit and had the kind of face that was easy to forget. He showed an identification card that said HO Intelligence Division. His eyes were sharp, and he spoke with careful precision. "May I come in?" he asked. "I have information you need to hear." Wu looked at the security officers stationed in the hallway. They nodded. This man had clearance. "Fine, but make it quick." Ho walked into the apartment and looked around. His gaze stopped on Lyra, who was sitting by the window. She wore a simple blue dress that had bought for her. Her silver hair was tied back, and her pale eyes watched the intelligence officer with suspicion. "Please sit," Ho said to both of them. "What I am about to tell you is classified. It cannot leave this room." They sat down. Wu crossed his arms. Lyra folded her hands in her lap. Ho pulled out a small tablet and placed it on the table. "Before I begin, I need to ask you something, Lyra. What did your mother tell you before you left home?" Lyra's face went pale. "How do you know about my mother?" "Answer the question, please." Lyra was quiet for a moment, then she spoke slowly. "She told me to watch, to learn, to see if humans could be trusted." Ho nodded. "And have you made your decision yet?" "I do not understand. What decision?" The intelligence officer tapped his tablet. A hologram appeared in the air above it. It showed a woman with silver hair and pale skin, wearing a crown of black metal. Her face was older than Lyra's, but they shared the same features. The same eyes. The same mouth. Lyra gasped, "Mother." "This is the High Matriarch of the Empire," Ho said. "The supreme leader of your people. And according to our intelligence, she is also your mother, which makes you a princess of the—" Wu stared at Lyra. "You are a princess." "I did not think it mattered," Lyra said quietly. "Here I am nobody, just a gift that nobody wanted." Ho continued. "When the war ended, we thought they surrendered because they were losing, but our intelligence suggests something different. They are not weak. They have a hidden weapon. Something powerful enough to destroy Earth and every human colony." Wu felt cold. "What kind of weapon?" "We do not know exactly. Our spies only heard rumors. A device that can shatter planets. Something they built centuries ago and hoped they would never have to use." "Then why did they surrender?" Wu asked. "If they could destroy us, why give up?" Ho looked at Lyra. "Because the High Matriarch did not want to use it. She believed there might be another way, a way that did not involve genocide." Lyra was trembling now. "My mother sent me here. She said it was a test." "Yes," Ho confirmed. "You are the test. The High Matriarch gave her youngest daughter to humanity as a final chance. If you report back that humans are honorable, that we can be trusted, then real peace negotiations can begin. The weapon will be dismantled. Our peoples can coexist." "And if I report that humans are cruel?" Lyra asked. Ho's face was grim. "Then they will use their weapon. They will destroy Earth. They will wipe out every human colony. They believe it is better to die fighting than to live as slaves of a cruel species." The room was silent. Wu could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. "You are saying," he said slowly, "that the fate of two civilizations depends on how I treat one alien woman." "Yes, that is exactly what I am saying." Wu stood up and walked to the window. The city stretched out before him, millions of lives going about their daily business. They had no idea how close they were to destruction, how close they had always been. "Why tell me this?" he asked. "Why not just keep it secret and make sure Lyra reports good things?" "Because lies do not work," Ho said. "They can sense deception. If you pretend to be good while treating Lyra badly, she will know. Her people will know. The only way forward is genuine trust." Lyra stood up and walked to Wu's side. "I did not know about the weapon. I did not know what my mother was planning. She only told me to watch and learn." "But now you know," Wu said. "What will you tell them?" Lyra looked at him. Her silver eyes were filled with conflicting emotions. "I do not know, you have been kind to me. Your sister has been kind, but others tried to kill me. Your people still fear us, still hate us." "We fear what we do not understand," Wu said. "That does not make us evil." "I know, but is that enough? Is fear an excuse for hatred?" Wu thought about the war. He thought about the soldiers he had killed and the soldiers who had died beside him. He thought about the nightmares that still woke him at night. And he thought about the young woman standing beside him, who had saved his life without hesitation. "No," he said, "fear is not an excuse, but it is a starting point. We are afraid because we do not know each other. If we take time to learn, the fear will fade." "How can you be sure?" "I cannot be sure, but I know that a few weeks ago I saw you as an enemy. Now I see you as a friend. If I can change, others can too." Ho cleared his throat. "The final peace summit is in 3 months. The High Matriarch will come to Earth's diplomatic station. Lyra will have to give her testimony then. She will stand before both councils and tell them what she has learned." 3 months, Wu repeated. "That is not much time." "No, it is not, but it is all the time we have." The intelligence officer stood up and collected his tablet. "I have told you everything. What you do with this information is up to you, but I would suggest that you think very carefully about the future, not just your future but the future of everyone." He walked to the door, then stopped. "For what it is worth, I believe in peace. I have seen too much war. I do not want to see more." After he left, Wu and Lyra stood together in the quiet apartment. The weight of what they had learned hung heavy in the air. "I am sorry," Lyra said. "I did not know I was putting such a burden on you." "You did not choose this. Your mother did. She believed she was doing the right thing. She always believes that." There was bitterness in Lyra's voice. "Among my people, the matriarch's word is law. Even her own daughter must obey." Wu turned to face her. "Forget about your mother. Forget about the councils and the weapons and the politics. Tell me the truth. What do you think of humans?" Lyra was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but steady. "I think you are complicated. You are capable of great kindness and great cruelty. You fight wars over misunderstandings and then make peace when it is almost too late. You fear what is different, but you also try to understand it. Is that good or bad?" "It is both, and neither. You are like my people in many ways. We also fear and fight and make terrible mistakes, but we also love and hope and dream of better things." Wu almost smiled. "So we are the same." "Not the same, but similar enough." Lyra reached out and touched his hand. "You asked me once why I called you my friend. Now I will tell you the real reason. Because you did not treat me as a prize or a prisoner or a test. You treated me as a person. That is rare, among both our peoples." Wu looked at their hands, human and dark skin and pale skin, different but not so different. 3 months, he said. "We have 3 months to save 2 civilizations." "Yes. Then we should probably start planning." Lyra smiled. It was a nervous smile, but there was determination behind it. "Where do we begin?" Wu thought about it. "We begin by showing you more of humanity, not just the good parts, not just the bad parts, all of it, the truth, and then you can decide for yourself what we are worth." Outside the window, the sun was setting. The sky was painted in shades of orange and red, like a fire slowly burning out. In 3 months, that fire could consume everything, or it could finally go cold. The choice would be made by a soldier who never wanted a prize and a princess who never wanted to be a gift. But maybe Wu thought that was exactly why they were the right people for the job. The 3 months passed faster than Wu expected. He showed Lyra everything he could about human life. They visited schools where children learned and laughed. They went to hospitals where doctors fought to save lives. They walked through parks where families picnicked under the sun. They also visited the darker places, the homeless shelters, the prisons, the memorials for soldiers who never came home. Lyra saw it all. She asked questions, she listened, she learned. And through it all, something changed between them. They were no longer just friends. They were partners. Two people working toward the same goal. Wu could not imagine his life without her anymore, and that scared him more than any enemy he had ever faced. The day of the peace summit arrived. They took a shuttle from Earth to the diplomatic station orbiting the moon. It was a massive structure, built jointly by humans and during the last weeks of the war. A symbol of hope that neither side was sure would last. The station was crowded with diplomats, soldiers, and reporters from both species. Security was everywhere. Tensions were high. Everyone knew that what happened today would shape the future of both civilizations. Wu wore his military dress uniform. He had not worn it since the ceremony where he first received Lyra. It felt strange now, like wearing someone else's skin. Lyra wore a traditional gown of silver and white. Her hair was arranged in an elaborate style that it helped her with. She looked beautiful and terrifying at the same time, like a queen from an old story. They walked through the corridors together, drawing stares from everyone they passed. A human soldier and a princess, an unlikely pair. A man stepped into their path. He wore the uniform of a high-ranking diplomat, and his face was set in a false smile. "Ah, Staff Sergeant Park and the Lady Lyra," he said. "I am Ambassador Han Min. I have been assigned to help prepare you for today's testimony." "We do not need help," Wu said flatly. "Oh, but I insist." The ambassador's smile did not waver. "There are certain things that the council needs to hear, certain points that should be emphasized, for the good of humanity, of course." Lyra tilted her head. "What kind of points?" "Well, for example, it would be helpful if you mentioned how generously you have been treated, how safe you have felt. Perhaps you could downplay any unfortunate incidents, like the attack on your residence." Wu's jaw tightened. "You want her to lie?" "Not lie, simply adjust the truth. They do not need to know about our internal problems. It might give them ideas." Lyra's eyes grew cold. "I was almost murdered by humans who wanted me dead simply because I exist. You want me to hide that?" "It was an isolated incident. Extremists who do not represent our people." "Then why hide it? If it was isolated, it proves that most humans are good. Hiding it only proves that you are ashamed." The ambassador's smile finally cracked. "Listen here, alien. You may be a princess among your kind, but here you are just a bargaining chip. You will say what we tell you to say, or there will be consequences." Wu stepped forward. He was taller than the ambassador, and his eyes carried the weight of 18 months of war. "Threaten her again," he said quietly, "and I will make sure you never threaten anyone ever again." The ambassador backed away, his face pale. "This is not over," he muttered. "The council will hear about this." He hurried away down the corridor. Wu watched him go, then turned to Lyra. "Are you okay?" "Yes, but there will be more like him, on both sides." She was right. As they entered the main hall, they were approached by a group of advisors. Their leader was a tall woman with sharp features and calculating eyes. "Daughter of the matriarch," she said in the language. Lyra translated for Wu in whispers. "We must speak before the testimony." "Speak then," Lyra replied in the same language. "You have been among humans for many months. You have seen their weakness, their fear, their hatred. The council must hear the truth about these creatures, how they treated you like property, how their extremists tried to kill you, how their leaders care only for power." Lyra's face remained calm. "And what would you have me say?" "That humans cannot be trusted, that peace with them is impossible, that the matriarch was wrong to hope for anything better." "And then what? We use the weapon." The advisor's eyes gleamed. "It would be a mercy, a quick end for both our peoples, better than endless war." Lyra stepped closer to the advisor. When she spoke, her voice was like ice. "I have lived among humans for nearly 3 months. I have eaten their food. I have read their books. I have been saved by one of them when my own people gave me away like unwanted property. You call them weak, but one human soldier fought 3 armed men to protect me. You call them hateful, but his sister welcomed me into her family without hesitation. The advisor's face darkened. You have been corrupted by them. No, I have been educated by them. There is a difference. The advisor looked ready to say more, but a bell chimed through the hall. The summit was beginning. The advisor retreated with one final hateful glance. Wu and Lyra entered the main chamber. It was a vast circular room with seats rising on all sides. On one side sat the human council. On the other sat the council. In the center was a raised platform where witnesses would give their testimony. At the highest seat of the section sat the High Matriarch, Lyra's mother. She was old and regal, with the same silver eyes as her daughter. She watched as Lyra walked into the room, but her face showed no emotion. The human prime minister, an elderly man named Sung Ho, called the summit to order. "We are here to determine the path forward for both our peoples," he announced. "Peace or war, trust or destruction. Today, we will hear from one who has lived among humans as a representative of the Lyra, daughter of the matriarch, please approach." Lyra walked to the platform. Wu wanted to go with her, but he knew he could not. This was her moment, her choice. She stood before both councils, a small figure in a room full of powerful people. But when she spoke, her voice was clear and strong. "I came to Earth expecting cruelty. I was raised to believe that humans were monsters, animals who fought for territory and resources with no thought for anyone but themselves." She paused and looked at the council. "I was wrong." Murmurs rippled through both sides of the chamber. Humans are not monsters. They are complicated. They are capable of great kindness and great violence. They fear what they do not understand, just as we do. They make mistakes, just as we do. They go to war for the wrong reasons, just as we did. The matriarch's eyes narrowed slightly, but she said nothing. "When I arrived, I was treated as an object, a prize, a symbol of surrender. Many humans were uncomfortable with this. They did not want to own another person. The soldier who received me refused to accept me as property. He called me a guest instead. He protected me when others tried to kill me. He showed me the best and worst of his people without hiding anything." She turned to face the human council. "There was an attack on my life. Humans who hated all tried to murder me in my home. This is true. But it is also true that one human risked his life to save mine. His sister welcomed me as family. Strangers on the street learned to see me as a person, not an enemy." The chamber was completely silent now. "You ask me to judge all of humanity. I cannot do that. No single person can judge an entire species, but I can tell you what I have learned. Humans are not ready to be our friends, but they are not our enemies either. They are something in between. They are trying, and so should we." The matriarch finally spoke. Her voice was old but powerful. "You say they are trying, but is trying enough? Can we trust them with our future, with the future of our children?" Lyra turned to face her mother. "I trusted one of them with my life. He did not fail me. If one human can earn that trust, so can others." She looked at Wu across the crowded chamber. Their eyes met. "Peace is not built on treaties or weapons. It is built on people, on individuals who choose to see each other as more than enemies. Park Wu is proof that such people exist. I believe there are more like him, among both our peoples." The chamber erupted in discussion. Diplomats argued, advisors whispered. The matriarch sat in silence, her eyes fixed on her daughter. Finally, the human prime minister raised his hand for quiet. "The testimony has been given. Now both councils will deliberate. We will announce our decision in 1 hour." The hour that followed was the longest of Wu's life. He and Lyra waited in a small room off the main chamber. They did not speak. There was nothing left to say. When the hour ended, they returned to the chamber. Both councils had taken their seats. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut. The matriarch stood. Every eye in the room turned to her. "I sent my daughter among humans to find the truth. She has found it. Humans are flawed, so are we, but flaws are not sins, fear is not hatred, and war is not the only answer." She looked at the human council. "They accept peace. We will dismantle our weapon. We will share our technology. We will work together to solve the crisis. This is my decision as matriarch." The chamber exploded with noise. Some cheered, some protested, but the decision was made. Peace had won. Wu felt Lyra's hand slip into his. He held it tightly. "We did it," she whispered. "No," he said, "you did it, I just watched." She smiled. "You did more than watch. You believed in me, that was enough." Around them, history was being made. Two civilizations were taking their first steps toward a shared future. It would not be easy. There would be setbacks and conflicts and moments of doubt. But for now, in this moment, hope was alive. And that was enough. Peace changed everything. In the weeks after the summit, the news was filled with stories of cooperation. Scientists shared their medical technology with human hospitals. Human engineers helped develop new methods for mining without destroying planets. Trade routes opened between worlds that had been at war just months before. It was not perfect. There were still protests on both sides. Some humans refused to accept aliens in their cities. Some believed their leaders had shown weakness. But these voices grew quieter as time passed. People were tired of hatred. They wanted to move forward. Wu and Lyra returned to Earth after the summit. Their apartment in Seoul sector felt smaller now, filled with the weight of everything that had happened. But it also felt like home. The matriarch had asked Lyra to return to There was a place for her in the royal court, a life of comfort and power waiting for her. All she had to do was leave Earth behind. Lyra had not given her answer yet. One evening, Wu found her standing on the apartment balcony. The city lights stretched out below, a sea of brightness against the dark. She was watching the sky, where the first stars were beginning to appear. "Thinking about home?" he asked. "I do not know which home you mean," she said. "I have two now." Wu stood beside her. The night air was cool, carrying the sounds of the city below, cars humming, people talking, life going on. "Your mother wants you back," he said. "I would understand if you left." Lyra turned to look at him. In the dim light of the balcony, her silver eyes seemed to glow. "Do you want me to leave?" The question hit him harder than he expected. For a moment, he could not answer. He thought about the past months, the fear and anger and confusion of the beginning, the slow change that followed, the way she had become part of his life without him noticing. "No," he said finally, "I do not want you to leave, but I want you to be happy. If that means going home, then you should go." Lyra smiled. It was a sad smile, but there was warmth in it. "My mother sent me here to judge humanity. She expected me to come back with a report. Instead, I came back with something else." "What?" "A reason to stay." Wu's heart beat faster. "What reason?" Lyra reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were cool against his skin. "You Park Wu, you are my reason." He did not know what to say. All the words he had ever learned seemed to disappear. So instead of speaking, he did something he had wanted to do for weeks. He kissed her. It was a gentle kiss, brief, uncertain, but when they pulled apart, Lyra was smiling. "I was wondering when you would do that," she said. "I was not sure if I should." "Why not?" "Because you are a princess, and I am just a soldier. In stories, that never works out." Lyra laughed. It was a light musical sound that he had rarely heard from her before. "This is not a story. This is real life, and in real life I get to choose." She took his hands in hers. "I have made my decision. I will stay on Earth, not as a princess or a gift or a symbol. I will stay as an ambassador, a bridge between our peoples. someone who belongs to both worlds. And what about us? What about us? Are we together now? Is that what this is? Lyra tilted her head. Among my people, a kiss is a promise, a bond that is not easily broken. Did your kiss mean the same thing? Wu thought about it, then he nodded. Yes, I think it did. Then we are together. Whatever that means for a human and we will figure it out. They stood on the balcony, holding hands, watching the city below. The future was uncertain. There would be challenges. There would be people who did not accept them. There would be moments of doubt and fear. But there would also be moments like this. Quiet moments of peace and connection. Moments that made everything else worth fighting for. The door to the apartment opened behind them. Walked in, carrying bags of food as usual. Brother, I brought dinner. I hope Lyra likes. She stopped when she saw them holding hands. Her eyes went wide. Then a huge smile spread across her face. Finally, she shouted, I have been waiting for this for months. Wu groaned, please. Do not please me. I knew you two were perfect for each other from the beginning. I am an excellent matchmaker. You are an excellent pain in my neck. Lyra laughed again. I like your sister. Everyone likes me, said proudly. Now come inside. The food is getting cold, and you two have a lot of explaining to do. They went inside and ate together, asked 1,000 questions about the summit, about the matriarch, about what would happen next. Lyra answered patiently. Wu watched them talk and felt something he had not felt in a long time. Happiness. After dinner, left with promises to visit again soon, the apartment fell quiet. Wu and Lyra sat on the couch, close together. What happens now? He asked. Now we live, Lyra said. Day by day, step by step, we build the future instead of just hopping for it. That sounds exhausting. It will be, but we will not be alone. She leaned her head against his shoulder. He put his arm around her. Outside, the city continued its endless motion. Millions of lives intertwining, creating a tapestry too vast to comprehend. Somewhere out there, humans were learning to coexist. Children were growing up in a world where aliens were neighbors, not enemies. Scientists were solving problems that neither species could solve alone. Soldiers were putting down their weapons and picking up tools for building instead of destroying. It was not a perfect world. It would never be perfect, but it was better than it had been, and it would keep getting better as long as people chose hope over fear. Wu remembered the day he walked into that ceremony. He had expected a medal, a piece of metal to hang on his wall and forget about. Instead, he had received something far more valuable. He had received a second chance. A chance to see the enemy as a friend. A chance to heal from the wounds of war. A chance to love someone he never expected to meet. Lyra shifted beside him. What are you thinking about? The ceremony, he said. The day I met you. Do you regret it? No, not anymore. She smiled and closed her eyes. Good, I do not regret it either. They sat together as the night deepened. The stars came out one by one, filling the sky with ancient light. Somewhere among those stars was Lyra's. Somewhere among those stars was the battlefield where Wu had fought and bled. But those places seemed far away now. What mattered was here. This apartment, this city, this moment. Wu had spent 18 months learning how to kill. Now he had the rest of his life to learn how to live. He looked down at the woman beside him. Alien and human, princess and soldier, two people who should have been enemies but had chosen to be something more. He thought about all the people who had told him that peace was impossible, that some hatreds were too deep, that some wounds could never heal. They were wrong. Peace was not impossible. It was just difficult. It required patience and courage and a willingness to see others as they truly were. It required people like Lyra, who refused to judge an entire species by its worst members. And it required people like him, who learned that the enemy was never as simple as the propaganda said. Outside the window, the sun was beginning to rise. A new day was starting, the first of many they would share together. Wu gently woke Lyra. "Look," he said, pointing to the window. She opened her eyes and saw the sunrise. The sky was painted in shades of gold and pink, light spreading across the city like a promise. "Beautiful," she whispered. "Yes," he agreed, but he was not looking at the sky, he was looking at her. She noticed and smiled. "You are very romantic for a soldier." "The war is over. I can be whoever I want now." "And who do you want to be?" He thought about it, then he smiled back. "Someone better, someone worthy of this second chance." Lyra took his hand. "Then we will become better together." The sun climbed higher, filling the apartment with warmth. Outside, the city woke up. People started their days. Children went to school. Workers went to jobs. Life continued as it always did. But for two people in a small apartment on the 47th floor, life had become something new, something unexpected, something wonderful. He came to receive a soldier's prize, but what they gave him was so much more. They gave him hope. They gave him love. They gave him a future. And he would spend the rest of his life being grateful for that gift.